The exit polls are clearly indicating advantage BJP and the NDA, and looks like Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be back as the Prime Minister of India when the results are out on the 23rd of May.
You're seeing the BJP and its alliance partners hold on to ground that it won in 2014 in practically every state across the country, if these exit polls are something to go by, and being able to gain new ground in 2-3 other states where there might be a state like UP where some ground is being lost, Harsha.
Let's get in our panel of experts today. Amitabh Tiwari, political commentator and strategist; Madhavan Narayanan, senior journalist; Sanjay Pugalia, editorial director of Quint Media; Narayan Lakshman from The Hindu. Gentlemen, many thanks indeed for joining us. Amitabh, I want to start with you. The big picture, at the national level, what do you think has worked for the BJP? What do these numbers really indicate?
See, the big picture clearly is that there is a silent Modi wave 2.0. I've always said here that this election is more about choosing a PM than choosing an MP. And it clearly shows that the people have voted for the PM candidate. There was no official candidate of the opposition for the PM position. And it has gone as planned for the BJP. There were some minor losses expected in Uttar Pradesh, which they have clearly compensated as per the trends in West Bengal and Orissa.
Sanjay Pugalia, Sanjay, Amitabh is saying that this is a presidential election. You're actually seeing the country vote for the Prime Minister irrespective of state issues. Sanjay?
Yeah, so if these predictions are right, then we will have to agree that without changing the system, India went into a presidential system kind of poll because there was no contestant on the other side. But I do not really think whether the actual result will mirror what we are seeing today. I am not saying that BJP or NDA won't be able to form the government going by the directional trend of all these polls. But these numbers may be a bit here or a bit there. But if these numbers are right, then yes, it became presidential election. Modi had all advantage to himself. They executed a great campaign, and some of our popular theory that not only UP but other states, they will also lose seats in significant numbers. They will not be losing in significant numbers, especially where Congress is in direct contest with the BJP. And their gain, what we were estimating in states like Orissa and West Bengal, will be more than the expected or the popular consensus numbers. So yeah, if these exit polls are right, which have been gone many times wrong, and the actual results have shown something else, barring that caveat, yeah, it looks like BJP has done pretty well than the expected.
Madhavan, how do you explain the BJP being able to hold its ground despite incumbency and the pressures of it both at the state level and the central level across much of central India and West India, where you count the fact that BJP government went out of Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh just 6 months ago. They're ruling in Maharashtra, they're ruling in Jharkhand, they're ruling in 1 or 2 other states across central India. But they're able to hold their ground through that. What's brought that back together? All right, we'll get back to Madhavan in just a bit. Let's move to the south where Narayan Lakshman is with us. The fact that in Karnataka you have the BJP improving its tally in these projections, if this is anything to go by on Thursday, despite the fact that the JDS and the Congress are fighting together, what would that be put down to?
Look, I think every self-respecting journalist or media person today must attach the caveat that this is quite possible that it will not tally with what we see on the 23rd. Having said that, if the directional sense of these results is correct, as indeed it was in 2014, ironically, they did not predict the extent of the BJP's victory. And similarly, in UP, there was the state assembly election. There was an error of magnitude. So I think in this case, for Karnataka particularly, it suggests that combined, maybe the people have lost faith in the way that the government has worked at the state level. But again, people think very differently about the general elections at the center compared to state assembly elections. So I think I would tend to believe, if this is in fact true, that we have a presidential style, or I would call it more a personality-driven election, where it is the personas of the two people at the very top of these two polarized alliances bipolar alliances that people are actually voting for. In this case, obviously, it is more complex because the JD is in the picture, and therefore you do have this question of governance at the local level, at the state level. What confidence do people have that this party is even worth being a player at the national level? But again, I think we're getting very deep into speculation, and I would hesitate to take it further because we really should be waiting for the 23rd.
Narayan, caveat well taken that we are doing this with the assumption that these exit polls are pure trend indicators. We'll have to wait till the 23rd of May till we get the actual numbers. Madhavan, I want to get your initial comments. But the trend that all these exit polls seem to suggest that the personality-driven politics of Narendra Modi seems to only gotten stronger since 2014. Madhavan.
Yes, I think that is quite obvious, but I want to look beyond the obvious to say something which I think is significant, which is that Modi has not only presidentialized the parliamentary elections, he has also succeeded after the assembly election setbacks, particularly in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, where it is unusual to see anti-incumbency reversing itself within a matter of 6 months. And that is a big factor that not only shows Modi has succeeded in reversing it, but it's important to know that he shifted the narrative from livelihood and aspiration to survival and hope. There is a fear of national security being under threat, and Modi is the hope. So basically, he has successfully sold the theory, there's a fear out there, and I'm your hope. And Modi hai to mumkin hai has somewhat become Chokidar, and that has successfully gone in, and it's also the triumph of the narrative over the simple aggregation of basic needs and development aspirations. So it's all about a Leviathan figure coming to rescue a people in distress. He successfully sold that narrative. Having said that, I would be keenly watching for any numbers from Bengal, Karnataka, and UP. I still think that we need to watch those things because these three are proving to be the major swing states in this time. I would be still watching it closely.
Amitabh, if this is so presidentialized, can you help explain Maharashtra and Bihar, where the BJP is chosen to get back into alliance once after a 4-year time when it stayed in government at the center of the state in Maharashtra, fought with that alliance. In Bihar, chose to bring the JDU back with it and kept Nitish Kumar in power at the state level. Then do these alliances matter at all? If this is so much about Mr. Modi, explain the fact that then are the Shiv Sena and the JDU riding on his coattails and that is it?
No, so they are riding on his coattails, of course, but it is also about state leadership.
Okay.
In 2014, CSDS did a poll and asked what is the most important factor while you go to voting. 28% said PM candidate, 17% said state leadership. So it's a mixture of the PM candidate, the persona of Modi, and the strong state level leaders, which is Nitish Kumar, Uddhav Thackeray, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Raman Singh, Vasundhara Raje. Vijay Rupani is not a strong leader in that sense. So it's a mixture of Modi's persona and state level strong leaders. Because mind you, I have traveled across 7-8 states, and people even in West Bengal or Orissa or Karnataka or Andhra or Telangana have voted on the name of the chief ministerial candidates and not on the face. Many people didn't even know who their local MP candidate was.
Sanjay, comment on this. You know, what I find most interesting is that, if again, caveat, if these numbers are anything to go by, this looks like a redux of 2014, particularly in the Hindi heartland, where they're sweeping Rajasthan, or they're looking to, or at least forecast to be sweeping in Gujarat, doing exceedingly well in Madhya Pradesh. Any surprises for you at all, Sanjay?
Harsha, because we are focusing on exit poll numbers, one thing to be noticed is that all those polls that are giving NDA a clear majority, most of them are not giving a clear majority mark to BJP alone. So if they are showing, say, 290 for NDA, that means the inherent message is that BJP is not reaching the majority mark. And the question you asked, I have only one thing to say, where Congress and BJP are in direct conflict, even though there was an opportunity, it seems Congress might not have done that well. But in UP, if Mr. Modi waved Balakot nationalism, and because there is a fear and I am your only hope. If all these narratives are working nationally, including South India, why is it not working in UP? Because all these polls are showing substantial loss of seats to BJP. I am not able to explain this to myself. But before I end my answer, Harsha, I am wondering for a moment, exit poll may not be real, but its reaction in the stock market is going to be real. Would you want to raise some question, or would you want to tell us that how would the market look at these numbers on Monday?
Sanjay, I think there is going to be a huge sigh of relief tomorrow morning, merely because of the number of theories of third front, Congress-led coalition, united front kind of government, support from Congress outside. All those theories will be put to rest. At least, the speculation will be put to rest tomorrow morning. I think the markets will heave a sigh of relief. I'll also take one more point from what you said, Sanjay, and this is the national narrative and what it means for South of India. My home state of Tamil Nadu is at least what is forecast, is playing on predicted lines. Narayan Lakshman, you want to come in on this? It was anticipated widely that the DMK will do exceedingly well, and that's what the numbers are showing, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely, Harsha. I think for quite a while now, people have been saying that the DMK would hit somewhere in the proximity of the 30 seat mark, and the sort of exit polls are suggesting that it is going to be well above that. That is, again, going down to very deep issues within the state and the two major parties, the ADMK and DMK, and the fact that the ADMK as a political entity has been imploding or in implosion mode for quite some time now. Of course, the BJP chose and did not have too many options there, but joined that alliance. There was much less chance of the BJP ever tying up with the DMK. But having said that, the big factor that drove this was also the leadership vacuum that you saw. The ADMK losing J.J. Lalita and the DMK losing Karunanidhi, but then the DMK having a far more sort of planned, sort of a more coherent succession plan in transmitting power to Stalin. So their more orderly sort of conduct in that regard has paid them some rich rewards, I think. And again, there too, the caveat applies, but I do think that broadly, in terms of direction, that's what we've been looking at for quite some time.
Madhavan, let's turn to West Bengal for a bit. The fact that trend-wise, again, you have different polls showing the BJP getting anything between 10, 11 and 15, 16 seats. So that if you see that leftmost column, you're seeing the C-voter poll giving 11, the same by the VMR poll, 16 according to the CSDL poll, and 19 to 23, which is the outlier in that by the Axis poll. That averages up to about 15, and then which averages out to about 25 to the TMC. Some of the underlying vote share trends that some of these polls are showing show the BJP crossing the 30% mark and notching up to 40% in some of those polls. The fact that it has now completely close to replace the left in West Bengal and is shaping up to be equal to the Trinamool. What does that say about how this election has been focused so heavily in the last 4 rounds by the BJP in that one single state?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember, Kaushik, that we will have to wait for the results. I don't know how good the samples are for Bengal, because I don't think Bengal can be assessed statistically unless the pollsters have been so good at this, that I would like to think that there must be an unevenness within the vote share gains that the BJP has made in Bengal. It's a foregone conclusion that BJP was going to increase its vote share. Whether it translates into seat share was a big question, and my own information was that they might get about 5 seats, because Bengal has a demographic issue, partly because of some Muslim concentration here and there, and also there is a big rural-urban divide because BJP doesn't have the organization in the rural areas. So all this suggested that BJP would make a mark, but not enough in seats. Today's exit poll suggests that is not so, which basically means only 2 things. Either the exit polls haven't got it statistically accurate in a seat-wise breakup, or that Amit Shah's juggernaut literally has created a phenomenon that filled the vacuum that was waiting to be filled, which is what you suggest. I would wait for the results. I still think it's not quite the tsunami in Bengal, although I would say it has made an impact. I would still be surprised if BJP gets 11 seats in Bengal, which means that we'll have to go back to the drawing board. Things are not which basically means the Balakot factor, the infiltration factor, everything is working in favor of BJP.
Okay, Amitabh, you want to come in on Bengal specifically? The numbers we were talking about, even when we had the pre-poll discussion, were about 5 to 10, but these are numbers that are 11 to 15, which is fairly significant.
See, Bengal has seen a very polarized election. Wherever there is polarization, it helps BJP. And wherever the minority population is high, it is a fertile ground for BJP kind of politics. So it all depends upon the collapse of the left and the Congress, as we were discussing earlier. It seems that the left and the Congress, which is the anti-Mamata vote, because Mamata is considered as the new left. So which is the anti-left vote, significant proportion of it has gone to BJP. My old calculations show that if 50% of left votes get transferred to BJP, it can easily win 10 to 12. If 75% votes get transferred to BJP, then it can end up in these numbers of 15 to 17 seats.
Narayan Lakshman, can I just transpose that same question and ask why the dynamics in Kerala would be different? Because similar attempts have been made by the BJP to make this issue about a specific temple, a specific fact that you had pockets of minority which the BJP said certain other parties were catering to. What's the left been able to do in Kerala that's allowed it to hold its own a little longer and a little more than what's happened in West Bengal?
That's a fantastic question, because I think really it challenges that comment made earlier by one of the panelists that the Balakot factor has won. I think that is a very sweeping generalization, and I think that you have high state-by-state variation on that issue. So yes, maybe there was an attempt to create a climate of fear, to create a homogenizing effect, to make it presidential, to unify the way the Indian voter is casting his vote. But that's not true in the way it's played out. And for example, one other factor that I want to highlight here is if directionally the exit polls are correct, it is also showing that the Congress has vastly improved on 2014. And I'm not saying that that's significant necessarily in terms of them coming to power, but people will be looking at what is happening with them too. And in this case, the left in Kerala, as you correctly pointed out, is another such party, which is showing that despite these so-called national level forces, at the state level, a lot of issues matter, and the simple formula of spreading fear or majoritarian politics or that kind of thing doesn't carry currency in every single state. And truly, if you ask me, I think Tamil Nadu also is a standout state in that regard, because there, for example, the collective psyche of the Dravidian movement and a lot of other factors weigh on people's minds. I'm not saying how exactly, but they do weigh on people's minds. So we should be careful, and that's why, again, I want to be very careful about how these results are interpreted.
Okay. Sanjay, you want to comment on this specifically on the issue of West Bengal before I move on to another state?
Yeah, if these trends via exit poll, if they are any indicator, that means BJP has been successfully, it has been successful in polarizing that state. So my understanding of Hindus of Bengal will change if these results are correct. So far, I believe that UP and Bihar Hindus or North Indian Hindus think differently, and Bengal Hindus think differently. Mind you, West Bengal knows it that Pakistan was divided by Muslim Bengalis. So the polarization, the way it played out in North India, it will be a sort of shocker if it turns out to be true.
I have one final question for Narayan before I let him go, and this is specifically with what's going on with Jagan Reddy and with KCR. I mean, it was widely anticipated that Jagan Reddy the momentum was in his favor. The exit poll numbers seem to suggest. What does that mean for Andhra and Telangana and this whole? Which side are these two guys going to swing? Would that matter be settled now?
That's another very interesting question that we've all been grappling with, Harsha, for like several weeks or months. And basically, it suggests that there is this state, if you're looking at Telangana, say, where there's a leader who's obviously very powerful there, KCR, and he is not been willing to throw his lot in entirely with the BJP. It's been an on again, off again, because in this case again, the state autonomy questions have remained unanswered. And while it would be easy to have an alliance with the BJP for this national election, I think what they are trying to do, and why KCR has been pushing so hard for a third front, is because they want states to have a bigger say. And I think that is yet again one other factor that may not play to the BJP. And I think the same is true for Andhra. But again, in the case of Andhra, I do see the BJP having better luck at building that alliance. So in a nutshell, I think they're going to fare better there, yeah.
Narayan Lakshman, thank you for making time. Let you carry on. Madhavan, I'm just going to ask another question on that combination of states. What does this say about the Congress? The backbone of the two UPA governments was two sweeps of Andhra Pradesh, the undivided states. The trend line right now shows as much of a blank out in this election and the results on Thursday as it was in 2014. So is Andhra and Telangana the new Tamil Nadu kind of state where it's going to be only about regional parties, and the Congress, which was the one national party which was relevant in that state, has been moved completely to the sidelines?
I think that's an evident fact, but we'll have to look beyond this evident fact as to why this is happening. Let's go back to the 1980s when we had this whole N.T. Ramarao phenomenon coming into play and Ramakrishna Hegde standing out in Karnataka as some kind of a non-Congress alternative through the Janata Dal. So federalist politics increases as we go further beyond Nagpur into the south and then on to the northeast. It's very important that the cohesiveness or the homogeneity of the Hindi heartland wears out. And also there's a rise in literacy, education, and economic growth in all these states. So it's my contention that higher these three factors, higher is the degree of federalism, the aspirational federalism. Congress has been unable to fulfill the vacuum or the new, set of equations and aspirations. As they say in the US or in the Wall Street or Silicon Valley, what got you here won't get you there. So the next thing is something that we've seen in the Nyay manifesto that Rahul Gandhi has come out with, but it came too late and it doesn't carry a leadership message and it doesn't carry enough of federalism. It's more about the class divide, so the poor and stuff like that. So somewhere along the way, the regional aspiration has not been captured probably by the Congress, and that is paying the price. It begins with N.T. Ramarao and the famous Telugu Pride plank that started circa 1981.
Okay, gentlemen, hold that thought. We just have the final numbers of UP across all polls, and this is what is being revealed. The BJP is expected to have is expected to sweep about 58 out of 80. The Mahagathbandhan gets 20. That's according to the Times Now VMR. The Republic TV C voter says 38 towards the NDA and 40 for the Mahagathbandhan. The ABP CSDS says 22 for the NDA, 56 for the Mahagathbandhan. So UP is still a bit confusing. So, it's not a straightforward conclusion where you can say 39-39. Amitabh, you want to respond to this?
See, in UP, NDA was up against a strong alliance. Even if you add the vote shares of BSP and SP, last time it would have been 41-37. Today it is showing 39-39. But it clearly shows that the vote transfers of BSP and SP are not happening. I saw one of the vote share predictions of one of the agencies. It shows a vote share of almost 40% for MGB, which means that there is a leakage of at least 5 to 6%, whereas NDA is seen gaining vote share. And Congress is also seen gaining vote share. That vote share could have clearly gone to MGB if Congress was part of that alliance. So Congress is failing to understand the concept of index of opposition unity. If it were part of this alliance, then the things would have been different. If it is 40-40, then it is not very bad news for BJP.
Okay. If we were expecting the exit polls to give us some clarity on Uttar Pradesh, that clearly hasn't happened. It's split down the middle. Sanjay, you want to come in on UP and if what these numbers reveal to you?
Yeah. So one number we should look at, taking from Amitabh, that actually Mahagathbandhan vote share would have fallen and BJP NDA would have gained significantly. Congress would have get say 8% or so. That means it will be a major shocker that in such a Mahagathbandhan kind of competition, BJP gained on vote share. Thanks to Congress, Mahagathbandhan did not so well. If they would have united together, then momentum would have been different. Pre-poll alliance would have been very, very different, and momentum could have gone with MGB plus Congress. So if BJP is going to get 50-60 seats in UP, then this is one of the biggest earthquake that we are going to see, and it will be really a historic election in the country.
Before I come to Madhavan on UP, I just bring that plate back for a second, because there is the fact that these are exit polls and the nature of what averaging does, right? The fact that you have one poll that says 58 to the NDA, the other says 56 to the MGB, you average that out and you land up to that second line, which is 38 to 40, and you have 39 and 39. So the second caveat is not just that these are estimates of a survey, is that you also run the risk of what averaging does in numbers. So whether either of these are outliers that come out on Thursday, or that it will tend towards the middle line, we don't know. Madhavan, whichever way that goes, the fact that the Congress tally across these as a trend line is showing just those 2 family seats perhaps, means that the project of what Priyanka Gandhi was asked to do in eastern UP, there were seats that you and I in a previous conversation, and an article you had written on BloombergQuint 2 months ago about Purvanchal, that there were pockets of 2009 strength that the Congress had that is just not, it's not been able to replicate across a good 10-12 seats in eastern UP.
Yeah, I think you captured quite a bit of what I was planning to say, Kaushik, but let me come in and say that I am still waiting with bated breath for the today's Chanakya News 24 figures on UP. Bihar is out at 32 for BJP. I would be keenly watching. Also, you said about the problem with averages. Should we go for median or mean or mode? Logically speaking, mode value is the right one for this. And we do not have, the poll of polls is a bit iffy, especially for problem states like UP. And I would like to think that, like there is an old joke, a statistician is one who, when he sees you with your head in the refrigerator and legs in the oven, says that on an average, you're feeling comfortable. In UP, we are heading for that kind of a situation, unless some very trustworthy or agency like today's Chanakya bears me out. Now, let's come to the East UP part, which I call India's Ohio, which is like a swing state. And it is abundantly clear that Priyanka Gandhi, the star campaigner, has got the better out of Priyanka Gandhi, the General Secretary. What I have seen in the past 3 months since I wrote for BloombergQuint on that special piece on East UP is that there has been no attempt by the Congress to go with the Gathbandhan, or more important, to see the significance of the non-Yadav, non-Dalit backward caste in swinging votes in a caste-based scenario. And that vacuum was obviously filled in by the Balakot factor. All the fence sitters tend to go with a huge imagery that Modi has come out with. So if these polls are any indication, then that vacuum left by Priyanka Gandhi's ability to talk about Purvanchal, or, the Nishads have been aggregating themselves into a major vote bank of sorts, because they are not a cohesive caste, but now they have banded themselves under a banner called Nishads, the most backward caste. And there has been internal rivalry there, fragmentation there, and any major national party would have gone and capitalized on it with some grandstanding and clever ground alliances. BJP has succeeded that. Look at the way they have played Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. They have not lost sight of the politics being the art of the possible at the ground level, while selling the imagery of Modi at the top level. That brilliant combination of the last mile and the first airstrike is something not evident in Congress. The least the Congress could have done was to go beyond simply putting up Brahmin candidates to cut BJP votes in East UP, as they seem to have done. They need to have been smarter and capitalize on the MBCs. It's a big, big vacuum. If the Congress does lose this election big time in UP, this is the biggest wound that the Congress will lick. I'm 100% sure of that.
You want to respond to this, Amitabh?
I want to add that 2009 is probably not a correct comparison because in 2009 there was a quadrangular contest.
Correct.
And BJP was not that strong.
Correct.
When people go out to vote, if there is an anti-NDA vote, they see whether MGB or Congress will be able to defeat the BJP candidate. So that's why they have probably gone for the MGP.
Okay.
Second is that the Priyanka Gandhi not contesting from Eastern UP also was a bad strategic point in that sense. If Kejriwal, an outsider, got 2 lakh votes in 2014, she would have got much more. Right. Even if she would have lost, there would have been a rub-off effect on the other states in other seats in UP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would have been possible.
I grant you the point about 2009 and UP in one more point, that the fact that the Congress bump up in 2009 was because Kalyan Singh had joined Mulayam Singh. So there were a lot of Samajwadi Party votes that probably the Congress got that it wouldn't have otherwise, which gave some non-linear bump up to the Congress in 2009. So I take your point about that being an outlier. Sorry.
Let's get in Orissa as well, gentlemen. The Orissa numbers of all the polls are out. The India Today Axis gives the BJP 15 to 19 seats. The Republic TV gives about 10. ABP 9, so on an average 12 towards the NDA, 9 for the UPA. No, this is the number, is it? No, this is the BJD. The BJD is getting at about 12 for the this template is wrong. The BJD is getting 12, 9 for the BJP. The polar polls is that the BJD gets 9, 12 for the BJP. Sanjay, you want to come in on this? We were talking about Odisha being an important state this time. It looks like the BJP has done well. It looks like that Naveen Patnaik is actually getting a run for his money from the BJP.
Yeah, it looks like that in Odisha, what has worked is that let us vote for Biju Janata Dal for Niche ka election, that is assembly, and for Upar ka election, vote for the BJP. BJP was really working very, very hard in this state. And this is again a bit surprising, but possible because you had a cooperating state government unlike West Bengal.
I just want to take this point that you made, Sanjay, about Odisha and the split in the vote. Amitabh, you've done a piece that tracked the last 4 elections, and because they've been simultaneous, that there's been very little split in the vote, but you traveled across the state extensively 2 months ago, and you said for the first time what Sanjay just mentioned seems to be happening, that there seems to be a vote for the BJP on the Lok Sabha level and the Vidhan Sabha level for Naveen Patnaik. Explain what you found some of that on the ground.
Yeah, on the ground, people were clearly saying this time that they would vote for Modi at the center and Naveen Babu and in the state. See, simultaneous elections poses a difficult challenge for the pollsters because when you ask questions to the individuals, which party you have voted for, and Odisha being a predominantly rural state, it is very difficult to gauge the exact mood of the voter. Also, if BJP is doing well, I still believe that if BJP is doing well in the national elections, there is a good chance that BJP will do well in the state assembly elections also. And that is why Naveen Patnaik was jittery. Naveen Patnaik is in many ways is a mini Modi. So it was a contest between Modi and mini Modi. Both are very similar characteristics. And it will be a very interesting state to watch out for.
Okay. Numbers for Bihar are out across polls. India Today calls it 38 to 40. This is the India Today Axis poll. Times Now VMR gives the BJP or the NDA 30, the Congress 10. The poll of polls, if an average of all of that, the NDA is looking at gaining anywhere between 30 or 34 seats. The UPA about 6. Again, an interesting one. Sanjay or Madhavan perhaps come in on this one. Whatever we've seen so far, reports on the ground suggested that the advantage was very clearly with the NDA in Bihar. The numbers seem to reflect the same thing, doesn't it?
I've just been looking at today's Chanakya as well, which gives 8 seats to Congress RJD, which I think is not bad if you consider the fact that the expectations in Bihar were much more lower of the UPA. So very clearly the combination of the, BJP has its own Gathbandhan with Nitish Kumar, and like Shiv Sena in Maharashtra, the combination is a very mature one. And add to this the fact that there is a Hindi belt Modi wave coming in. And please understand the Dalits of Bihar are also more inclined towards BJP because of the Ramvilas Paswan factor. And therefore, I see no surprises in Bihar at all. It is as I expected. Both the caste equations as well as the national and other factors are in factor. Bihar is not worth discussing, if you ask me.
Permitting that, Sanjay, I want to come to you about Bihar because of two particular things. The fact that at times in the past we've heard कि क्या कोई नाराजगी होगी नीतीश कुमार के लिए जिन्होंने 2015 में वोट दिया, thinking that this was an alliance between RJD and the JDU, that flip over in 2017. There seems to be, if we go by the trends here, no translation of that. One. Two, how much of that is an absence of Lalu in the campaign? Once Sanjay answered that, I just wanted to come to Amitabh after that about specific seats where the weak candidates were posted, but Sanjay first.
Definitely so. Lalu is missing from the campaigning, so that aggression is missing. Tejasvi tried to do his best, but he had his limitation. Congress was anyway in a cameo role there, and Nitish Kumar proved many such analysis wrong, that the way he won this election, last assembly election with Lalu Yadav, was a clear anti-BJP mandate, and he kind of changed the side, and that would not be liked by Bihari voter. That theory has been proved wrong going by this trend of the exit poll. Plus, Nitish Babu's card on prohibition might have worked very well because it is a secular card, and you unite 50% of the voters across the caste lines.
So, Amitabh?
On that point, the fact that you had compiled, Amitabh, 10 or 11 seats where the NDA was facing candidates that were pretty much giving them a very easy contest on your walkover.
Yeah, because what happened this time was that RJD contested on very less seats.
Okay.
And they gave a lot of seats to Upendra Kushwaha, who was literally thrown out of NDA, Manjhi, and a new party which was called VIP. These people got 11 seats. And I reckon most of these seats, these parties are going to lose because neither Manjhi is the undisputed leader of Mahadalits, neither Kushwaha is the undisputed leader of Kushwahas, and neither Saini is the undisputed leader of Nishads. So what happened is that they, I think, backed or too much on these weak alliance partners who were primarily responsible for the loss of NDA when JDU and RJD were together. On 83 seats, these guys had won just 5 seats. And I want to add to what Sanjay ji was saying. Women turnout in Bihar this time is 5 to 6% higher than males. So that is a prohibition plus Ujjwala gas scheme seems to have been working for BJP and NDA on the ground.
Okay, one last round of questioning, gentlemen, and I'm just still waiting for the final numbers on Delhi. The clear advantage is with the BJP as well on that one. Sanjay, big picture, if you look at it right now, from all indications, there is not a single number that we have seen that goes in favor of the Congress or against the BJP. In fact, they've only gotten stronger in some places since 2014.
True, if you go by the latest numbers of this exit poll by Axis, who has a good track record, is actually declaring, projecting a bigger victory for BJP and NDA together for the result on 23rd May. Clearly, opposition did not completely fail to comprehend the challenge they were fighting. In many cases, BJP tried hard to make sure that opposition votes get totally fragmented. And Congress, without being commissioned by BJP, has actively added to that process. And so is some regional parties. They did not realize the unsurmountable challenge, and they did not bring up a good number of good index of opposition unity. So if Bihar, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, Punjab, these states, even Karnataka and Maharashtra, if they are showing poor showing by the opposition, it is a big failure on the part of a very lazy, a very tired and lacking ideas kind of opposition tent that we will see on 23rd if these numbers are right.
Okay, last one, gentlemen, and this is on Delhi. If I can pull up the numbers on Delhi, India Today calls 6 for the BJP, 1 for the Congress. Times Now VMR calls 6 again. Today's Chanakya says a 7-0. That's staggering. The poll of polls clearly says the momentum is with the BJP in Delhi. The alliance that the Congress did not do with AAP, clearly hurting the opposition's challenge to the BJP. Amitabh.
Yeah, I mean, on all these 7 seats in 2014, the third candidate, which was the Congress, had got more votes than the margin of victory. So it was a clear-cut case of pure arithmetic, which Congress did not agree to, because AAP was probably asking for some seats in Punjab and Haryana, which they should have given it to them, but they have not done it. Probably in the long run, seeing that the assembly elections are due next year, and if Congress would have formed an alliance with AAP, then its performance, or it would have affected its performance in the Delhi state elections. Mind you, the vote blocks of both these parties are similar, are complementary, and they would have been easily transferable if they had formed an alliance.
I'm going to ask the counterpoint to Madhavan on this. The fact that between the 2013 assembly election, the 2014 Lok Sabha election, and the 2015 assembly election again in Delhi, the Aam Aadmi Party was on an upward climb, accumulating at every point more and more of the Congress vote. If then that trend line would have continued, a complete collapse of the Congress would have helped the AAP take much of that vote altogether. Does the fact that the Congress chose to put up a number of fairly, even if they win, they may not win, names and candidates that are not nobodies, the ex-chief minister of the state, 2 former Congress presidents for Delhi in 2 other seats, does that mean that the Congress may have been able to arrest its complete wipeout in Delhi, but has hurt the Aam Aadmi Party from accumulating that vote and giving the BJP a straight-on fight?
The answer, very simply, Kaushik, is yes. But I think we'll have to look beyond the little obvious. I think the Congress has put its pride ahead of ground realities, be it Haryana, UP, or Delhi. So I see it part of the same story, that Congress feels an identity crisis, that if it lets Aam Aadmi Party have a way, then like in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they are losing their, position. Congress is, before Nyay happened as a manifesto promise, Congress was sort of losing some sort of a USP in terms of issues, although it tried here and there to do development. And therefore, I think it is margin of victory part. There was a clear case for Mahagathbandhan in Delhi and Haryana, staring it in the face, but the Congress had an identity crisis and is paying the price for it. And but let me also add that Aam Aadmi Party somewhere along the way plateaued out because of the internal dissensions and the somewhat cantankerous behavior of Arvind Kejriwal, who behaved a bit more like the opposition leader rather than a ruling chief minister. That might have cost it on the margins, but then we are looking at the small details while a big tsunami is blowing. So, there.
Gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there. Madhavan Narayanan, Sanjay Pugalia, Amitabh Tiwari, many thanks indeed for joining us in this conversation, with the caveat that we haven't done these polls. We've only compiled the polls done by everyone else. And another caveat, that exit polls in this country has had a reputation. But they got it wrong in 2004. They underestimated both in 2009 and in 2014. But if you have been, thank you so much indeed for watching.
Thank you.